Yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Minutes are approved. Next item on our agenda is public comment. Citizens in the audience may address the Planning Commission regarding items on the agenda for which there is no scheduled public hearing. That would be business under new item, new business. Number 5, Trailside Phase 2 Site Plan Approval Extension, and item number 6, 460 Broadway Street Site Plan Review. Is there anyone who would like to speak on those two items?
Mr. Chairman, if I could just also note that item 9 would be included as well, although it
yes.
would be more
Okay.
difficult.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dan Agnello, 964 Everett Parkway. I'm out here again for Trailside Phase 2. I've talked about this about 50 times. You're going to hear the same comments again, and nothing's going to get changed, but at least I'll give it off my back and some of the neighbors' concerns. And, first of all, I asked staff to notify me about the new extension of the original plan. Never received that. Just happened to get an email from a friend of mine to tell me that this item was going to be on the agenda tonight. Also, one of the biggest problems I see in this site plan is drainage. Right now, the way he's got it set up is the townhouses, or excuse me, duplexes on Elkenberg all drain south down toward Everett. The ones on Indiana drain toward the north to the corner of Indiana and Elkenberg. But it's got the elevation set such that each duplex drains into the other duplex, okay? We've just had a big problem in Trailside Phase 1 of the way the final grading was done. About 6 or 7 of our houses flooded because of the final grading, okay? And one house, I know she told me she had $22,000 worth of damage because her basement, the basements are all finished and everything like that. And at the time, I told the contractor, I'm not going to go mention any names, but I said, this isn't going to work. And sure enough, got a bad storm, and it's not going to work. And the way it's set up now is, yeah, the water will drain to the 2 swales that go into the pit, which goes into the drain on Cable. But when the other condos go in there, the duplexes on the east side of the alley there, across from me, they're going to get all that water. Because the drainage is only on the alley, okay? So all those houses are going to receive all that water, and there's nothing in between there. Right now, on some of the green spaces, they actually have catch basins to pick up some of that water in the swale on the green space. And that's not on the drawings. And it's going to be a problem for drainage, okay? And also, the drainage commissioner, Van Buren County, says, and I quote, that any grading changes resulting in increased runoff on adjacent property is subject to civil litigation. I don't know for sure, but some of the neighbors were talking about that possibility. Just keep that in mind. Also, the side setbacks, I've said that a million times. The side setbacks on these units are 10 feet and 12 feet, okay? Oops, I think I lost my mic. What happened? There it is.
It's not working.
It seemed to have gone out. Just speak up and.
The side setbacks are 10 and 12 feet. Every single house in Trailside Phase 1 is at least 20 feet, okay? And when they applied for their application for the amendment for the last 17 to 20, when they applied for Phase 2 3 or 4 times, they said, we're not going to change the character of the neighborhood. We're going to have the same type of houses, same size houses, similar neighborhood and everything. Well, they built 39-foot houses, and now they're going to make the side setbacks 10 feet. And it's legal because RM1 says that, because it's a PUD. They can do what they want. The only requirements are on the ends where the setbacks are supposed to be. And, again, you cannot ZBA a PUD. I can't go to the ZBA and spend $2,000 and say, hey, I'd like to contest the waiver given to them for the 10-foot, 12-foot side setback. Can't be done. But staff says, oh, you can sue. Oh, yeah, I can sue. I have $15,000, $20,000 sitting in my back pocket to sue the city, okay? Come on, seriously? I mean, so this is some of the problems with PUD, okay? handle this soil on phase two, I'm concerned about. Because we had a lot of problems on lot 17 to 20, you know all about this, not being covered, no silt drainage, whatever. And now they're just putting piping in the middle of that. I'd like to see their silt fence plan for the piping going into the drainage. I'd like to see the silt site plan for when we start construction on units on Indiana and on Elkinburg because of the drainage problem. And also, I'd like to see their plan, what do we do with this dirt? All this dirt's contaminated. It's worse than it was on our part of the drip top, okay? Those piles sat there at one time for a year or two before they even got covered. So we'd like to see what the plan is for that bad soil. That soil's contaminated. Let's see. Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
There you go. How you doing? Good evening, Commissioners. Matt O'Connor. I own the project at hand here, requesting the request for the extension. Yeah, so basically three things. I mean, we ordered a pipe back in February based on the approval from last year. That was on a 9-month lead time. That got delivered last week. We have a building permit issued from the city. We have a soil erosion permit from the county, and we have all our engineering drawings done. So we're excited to get started.
Can you hold on just a minute? We'll get back to your project in a minute. Right now, we're just taking
I
public
didn't know if
comments.
that was the
Yeah.
appropriate time.
Okay, we'll get back with you, definitely. I do have correspondence. We've received 2 pieces of correspondence. One dated 10/16/23 from Dan Angelo commenting about the locker, the Center Street project, and one from Susan and James Bard dated 11/1 with concerns about 1 North Bailey PUD. Are there others who would like to speak at this time regarding those items that are on our agenda that do not have a public hearing scheduled?
Are these the barns?
Not yet. You'll be part of the public hearing. Yep. You will.
Okay. Next item on our agenda is unfinished business that's actionable, and there is none. New business actionable. Number 5 is Trailside Phase 1 Site Plan Approval Extension.
Yes.
Kelly?
Okay, so as we know, Matt O'Connor is here tonight with a request for a site plan approval extension for the Trailside, or otherwise known as Everett Park, Phase 2 plan that was approved at the September 1st, 2022 regular meeting. Phase 2 of this PUD includes the northeast corner of the site with frontage on Elkinburg in Indiana, and this project includes 12 two-family dwelling structures with 24 total units. Since this project was approved, staff has worked with Mr. O'Connor to address some concerns related to utilities at the site, but construction has not begun and the site plan is now expired. So Mr. O'Connor cites long lead times on ductile iron pipes as the primary reason for this delay. He is requesting a 12-month extension of the site plan approval. And in the packet for this evening, you have his request letter along with copies of a right-of-way permit and soil erosion sedimentation control permit application and an updated utility plan set. So as stated, the ductile iron was ordered and has now been received, and utility construction is slated to begin later this month pending an extension of the approval of the site plan. The Planning Commission is authorized to grant an approval of up to 12 months.
Okay, thank you. Let me state at this point that we are not reapproving the site plan. We are only approving the extension. So our interest tonight should only be those items that caused the delay, caused Mr. O'Connor not to be able to initiate construction during this first 12 months. Okay? Mr. O'Connor, would you come forward and explain your situation to us?
Good evening, Commissioners. So I apologize. I got confused. I
No
thought we were
problem.
getting right into it, so I was a little caught off guard there. So, good evening. Yeah, thank you, Kelly. So, yes, there was a delay in some materials that we ordered in February. They've since been delivered in October. We have our permit issued from the city, which is a copy signed by Mr. Dopp is in the packet there. We have a soil erosion permit. All of our drawings are done from Niederveld that show the drainage and has been signed off by the utility department. So, yeah, so we appreciate you taking the time to hear our request. So any other questions, I'm happy to.
Questions for Mr. O'Connor? Anyone?
Sure, we've got an extension of up to 12 months. What do you think would be an acceptable time frame for you?
I mean, we would have liked to start last summer, but I mean, I would say 30 to 90 days. We've got the holiday coming up here in winter conditions, but I mean, now that the material has arrived, I mean, we're very close to getting started.
Okay.
I noticed that the permit that you got from the Van Buren Drain for soil erosion and sedimentation lapses in March of 2024. So then will you, in the midst of this, have to go ahead and renew that?
That
Permit?
would be a good question for Compton. My understanding is that if we've started earthwork, which we should be done by March, but if we've started earthwork that and we're gonna be in active dialogue with the county on, they're gonna be coming out doing inspections and whatnot, so.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thanks.
Questions of staff, discussion?
No, again, just what you said, Larry, is very important to me as well, in terms of, the key question here is if we grant the extension, do we have the confidence that he's going to be able to begin construction by that extension? And I think he's given us the answer for that, so.
And I would concur. I think 30 days is kind of short. Things could happen tomorrow with Compton. I mean, but it sounds like they finally have the culvert and the conduits that they need, and Compton's ready and the developer's ready. So certainly I think it's appropriate, and that's, I think, one of the reasons that we looked at giving these extensions is supply chain. Order something in February and it finally arrives. Probably 4 years ago, that was unheard of. It is today.
I love Matt's optimism, but I'd feel much more comfortable with 6 months at the minimum.
I'd be comfortable with something like that. That gives them a chance to get going.
I will accept a motion if you're ready.
I would make a motion to authorize a 6-month extension of the Trailside Phase 2, Everett Park Phase 2 site plan approval.
Second.
Heard the motion and the second. Any further discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Good luck, Matt. The next item on our agenda is Item number 6, 460 Broadway Street, Unit 300, a site plan review.
Yes.
Kelly?
Thank you. So JP LaForest, who is here tonight, has applied for site plan review to add a corner balcony with a hot tub to his condominium at the Central Lofts, which is 460 Broadway, Unit 300. This parcel is zoned RM1, which is why this request is before you all tonight and not able to be reviewed administratively. The proposed deck will be 246 square feet, and the hot tub will be 7 feet by 5.5 feet. Mr. LaForest has submitted structural engineering along with his application, and he has submitted association approval and plans to submit an amended master deed to the city if the project is approved.
Okay. Would you care to come up and give us a little background on what you're hoping to accomplish?
So first off, JP LaForest, very excited to be here. It's been a 5-year journey. I moved to South Haven in 2018, and I've been wanting to do this project since 2019, but through speed bumps of COVID and other things, it's taken a long time to get here. I also want to thank all the people who've helped me along the way. I'm just a resident at CL3. Kelly, Luke, Ross have been instrumental in helping me present the documentation to all of you. Thank you for giving me your time. I'm happy to address any questions, comments, or concerns you may have. I do have a small presentation if it would be helpful, but at this point, I'm just here to answer any questions you guys have, and just thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Okay, let's see how many questions we have. If there are a lot of questions, maybe we'll go to the presentation.
Respect your time.
And let's see how well informed we already are. Any questions?
No question, but a comment. I thought the documents that you included, you and your engineers and designers and so on, was very, very detailed and wonderful. Thought it was well done.
I just have a clarification question. In our packet, I think it's on page 20, talking about landscaping and the amount required with exception of 2 parking lot trees from the original condominium development. And then it goes on to say the commission may consider it unreasonable for the whole development to install 2 trees. I didn't understand what that was referring to.
So the point of that statement was that this group need not require additional landscaping for this request because it's a small request for a single privately owned unit versus a request for a larger development.
All right, and so that was, I understand that now, that was the exception made on what we would require otherwise. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, otherwise, if you were reviewing this condominium as a whole, as a new project from scratch, we would
Yes.
require landscaping.
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
Yes. I will note, there's a typo on that page that refers to the industrial neighborhood. It's not an industrial neighborhood, it's a residential neighborhood.
I live there. I'm not
Apologize.
industrial.
You're industrious.
Any other questions? Are we ready for a motion?
I move we approve the request as submitted.
Can we include subject to the conditions as listed in the
Staff report.
staff report?
Thank you. Yes, yes.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve, subject to the conditions in the staff report. Any further discussion? Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Did we get a second?
Yes, we
Yeah.
did.
Okay.
Amy did, yeah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. You are approved. Good luck on your project.
Joy.
Next item on our agenda is item number 7, 1 North Bailey Avenue / Bailey Point Condominiums. PUD review and a public hearing. Kelly, give us a little background.
Sure. 1 North Bailey Avenue is an application for a PUD submitted by Frank and Monica Midadary. This project was reviewed by the Planning Commission for preliminary review in June and is back tonight seeking final site plan review, PUD approval, and ultimately recommendation to the City Council. As you may remember, this project is a mixed-use PUD that will incorporate the existing marina along with 3 new single-family homes. The site currently has some nonconformity, as noted in the staff report, and approval of this PUD is a way to bring the site into compliance with current zoning standards. Several waivers are being requested, including some setback waivers for existing structures on the site and the new Unit 1. The applicants are looking for a waiver to construct 3rd stories for the new homes. They are seeking a waiver to permit the driveway to Units 1 and 2 to contain a curb cut that is not at a perpendicular angle to Bailey Avenue. We're looking for a waiver to permit 4 dwellings on less than half an acre and a waiver of the requirement to install sidewalks along North Bailey Avenue. The applicants are here tonight to answer any questions. Brad is here tonight. He has been really instrumental in helping to work with the applicants and complete the review for this project. So he'll be available to give you some additional information and answer any questions. And just as a reminder, we do need to conduct the public hearing.
Is there anything you'd like to add at this point, Brad?
No, she lined it up pretty good. So there are a handful of deviations, as you can remember back in June, we talked about some of these at the time. So those are something that you'll have to wait tonight for that. They did request, or I know a few of you had requested some additional items that you would like to have seen from the applicants at the time. I know there was some mention from soils and wanted some soil borings done on the site to make sure that it was structurally sound enough to be able to carry the load of new homes to be placed on there. There was also a request from, I believe, Commissioner Stegman to have a review of the seawall to make sure that the seawall had a passing grade, basically, in order to get that thumbs up to make sure that that was structurally sound enough as well. So the applicants did go ahead and provide that along with an environmental study, the Phase 1 environmental report. It's not in the packet. It's about 200 pages long, so we weren't going to include that, but it is here at the city for review. So there are, like I said, a handful of things that you all are going to have to think about tonight, but I'm here to answer any questions if you want.
Any questions of staff? If the applicant would like to come forward and add any information at this time? Or you're, okay. Oh, okay.
They're the applicants.
We are. We love each other. We just don't agree with what they're doing.
We're the applicants. I'm Monica Midadary, my husband Frank Midadary, and this is our wonderful builder. He'll come up and speak in just a minute. I previously addressed you as growing up here and was born and raised here, and so we're back living here now after multiple years of being gone, and I've married my husband, who has now fallen in love with South Haven as much as I have, so we would like to continue what many of you have done, what our parents have done, what our neighbor parents have done, what our friends' parents have done, is continue to grow this city into what it is now, where, like I had said before, there was not even a McDonald's here. So my neighbors where we live now, not right next door to the Bards any longer, but every single one of them are not from South Haven, but act as if they are from South Haven. They have the most wonderful things to say about it. We would like to kind of take that initiative with what we're building, or we would intend to build, and provide South Haven with even more of that. We've put together this very lovely information that you've asked for, and what the Bards are, I don't know what they're going to say. This is kind of catching us off guard, seeing that we've kind of provided them with as much information as we have along the way. So I'm not exactly sure what this is about. So on to the other things you may want to say on that, in regards to anything technical.
I think we put an incredible package together for you guys. We put everything you asked, and I think more. I think more details than I've seen in the past, so hopefully we met all your specifications, and Chris is the wise one, so he can answer anything.
Yeah, Chris Menuzlar from Newco. I'm just here to, answer technical questions as they come along.
Okay. Do we have questions at this point?
Chris, I have a question of you. What kind of materials are you going to use in the outside of the structures?
Yeah, I think we're looking at probably a combination of hardy masonry and probably some details with EIFS, stow, up high. That's kind of what we're looking at. It's going to be kind of that feel.
And the hardy masonry, what are you
Hardy is a cement board
A
panel.
cement board?
And masonry, I think there'll be some masonry on the corners and stuff to create that little bit finer details.
Okay, because I was thinking of the elements out there,
Yeah,
and
exactly. It's a harsh environment for sure.
yes, yes.
So there'll be hardy products.
Had a question on the height issue. If I'm reading this correctly, although you want to have an additional story as the exception here, it will actually be shorter than what's allowed.
Correct, yes.
So we're going from 35 feet to 30 feet.
Correct. We're underneath that, although we are asking for one story, but we are well below the height requirement. And part of the reason we're looking for that is that we're only an 800 square foot footprint.
Sure.
And so to really get enough living space, we really need that third story.
I had a question, several readings, but I think I finally figured it out, but I'd like you to confirm. They're proposing 3 new buildings, but when you calculate the density, you come up with 8.7. I think that's because you're including the existing building plus the 3 new ones for a total of 4 on the 0.46 acres. Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that sounds right.
Okay. And then secondly, not being an engineer, you did 2, or your engineers did 2 test borings. And when I look at the details, again, not being an engineer, it looked quite similar, but I wonder if you could add any more detail. Are the soils sufficiently alike that you can be confident there'll be no issues there?
Yeah, so the testing company is Soils and Structures, and they've done numerous borings along the river, so they're very familiar with the soils here. So we did 2 test borings to see if they match the typical soil. And obviously, what we found is that we can't put in a traditional foundation, so we know we're going to have a deep pile foundation. So we've gone down, one of the bores was down 70 feet to find, the suitable soil. So basically, we're planning on that type of foundation for all 3 units.
Okay, so that would perhaps be similar to what the Maritime Museum did with their pilings, their borings that they did to support the weight of that building.
Yeah,
Is that right?
so we have 2 options. One is a concrete pile and one is a helical pier. So we've got designs for both of them from Soils and Structures, so we just have to look at, what's the best one for this project and what's the least, what disturbs everything the least.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question for Brad. When we're looking at justification for a PUD, one of the things that was mentioned is we want to provide a diversity of housing options to include a wide range of demographics, in particular, plan for areas of housing known as the missing middle. And what I'm hearing this evening is that we're thinking of bringing other folks into the community, not necessarily housing for the missing middle that would be working here and have an
Right.
income.
I pulled that quote straight out of the goals from the master
Right.
plan, and it was an entire residential phase, and it stated in there for all different types of housing options. It did focus on missing middle as one of the important ones that the community should focus on. But that was, one of the goals of the PUD is to align with the master plan, and I threw that in as a it lines up with the master plan goals in the sense that it would just bring more housing in a variety of options. So not necessarily with missing middle townhome or that
Yeah,
kind of
maybe,
design,
yeah.
Charrette-style design that was
I just
designed in
didn't
the
think
plan.
it matched what I hear from the owners and the developers and what they intend to do with the property.
I had the same concern, Jan, and certainly it doesn't doesn't impact my decision on how we move forward on this. But I do think it's important for staff to recognize that it does not meet that goal of the master plan. The master plan specifically calls out affordable housing and workforce housing. I don't imagine these condos or these homes are going to be accessible to.
It wasn't my intention to make this appear that it was affordable or anything like that. That's for the owner to decide.
It's just my
and
guess.
that was
I mean,
nothing we discussed when they discussed that. I was just trying to identify something in the master plan in the housing section that referred to housing in general, and it did. And that's why I placed it all in there. It does make a focus specifically on affordable housing or missing middle housing in there. But again, it was in there because, like I said, there was a call out in there to all different types of housing in the city as well. So that's the reason I put that in there.
Sure. And again, I want to restate my point. My point is not in opposition to the plan here. My point is just a word of caution to staff when we quote that it's, especially on a PUD, where there has to be offsetting benefits. To quote a benefit to fulfilling something in the master plan, that's a stretch. And we probably didn't need that as part of the packet.
I did have one other question on page 88 of the packet, specifically item C, and the special land use. Your wording specifically says, won't damage or hazard through the excessive production of a variety of things, including water runoff. And since we've had correspondence from a resident, and I think they're here, and we may hear from them, I don't know, what's your confidence level about water runoff and the risk to neighboring properties?
So we did have discussions with both our engineer and the engineer with the city, Mike Dodd, looking at those current elevations and elevations that we're choosing to build on or need to build on. And right now we have everything designed to run towards the water and to not infiltrate anyone else's property. There isn't an intent to build up the property in any way. It's not like we're trying to raise it a foot to create additional runoff. Our intention is to work with the grades that's there. There are some grade lines on there and some slopes on there. We do know we have to set finished floor elevation yet, but we would be obviously working with Mike Dodd on that to sort of, work with the grades that we have so everything runs off. So that is the intention, is to make sure that everything runs, towards the river and not to any other property.
Thank you, appreciate it.
I guess that was my biggest concern, seems so that you've already brought that up, which is good to hear. Now, high water over the last 10 years. Any issues there with being able to mitigate and manage that water towards the river if the river comes the opposite direction?
Well, as you know, it's pretty hard to stop the river. It is going to do what it's going to do. So there's a balance between, setting your finished floor to affect your neighbors and dealing with what the river might do. So we do have to strike a balance there for sure. We certainly can't, it would be great if we could raise our finished floor 3 feet, right? Try to protect that, but it has an adverse effect on all of the neighbors around. So we do have to balance that, and there is obviously the inherent risk of building on water, that someday it can do what it's going to do.
It's a unique project. It's a unique piece of land.
Right.
So to actually be able to get a project out of it, it's also a commercial marina. So when we're bringing housing to the waterfront, which was something where we were losing out, and it's helping waterfront business, which we want to promote. So I think it's a really good project. I just did want to bring up, I think that was my only issue was, how that was going to be handled, and you've put pieces to that, and you've answered some questions, so that was it.
We love our neighbors, we have an incredible relationship, and I'm not an engineer. If there's some special drain or anything we could put sideways, next to their house to keep water away, what's the option?
Yeah, so we had discussed that, you know, there's obviously a fence between our property and the neighbor's property. We could put in like a 1-foot swale there that leads towards the water to kind of, if anything is, inadvertently going that direction, as things change, we can collect it and run it towards the water.
And at this point, it doesn't look like that's necessarily an issue for us to bring up. That just may be something as neighbors need to look at, but I'm not sure as a planning commission is something that we need to necessarily mitigate, unless, of course, you were building up the property and creating that, but I don't see that.
Anything to ever come between the two of us.
Yeah.
So we'll do anything.
Okay, thank you.
I have-
At this point, we may call you back, but I think we need to get along to the public hearing. Janice, we'll get you right after the public hearing. I will accept a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to open a public hearing.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. The public hearing is open. Anyone in the audience who would like to speak on this particular project? Come to the microphone and speak right into it so we have your name and address. And
We want to be upfront too, is that we do love Frank and Monica. We want the best, but
My name is James Bard, and this is my wife Susan. I'm 73 years old. I've lived in South Haven for 73 years. I bought 8 North Bailey in 1967. In 1974, they changed the zoning from R1 to B3 waterfront development. And after that, in 1982, I came down to the Planning Commission to build a 2,500 square foot home and do my 22-foot setbacks from the river. And I was denied that. And I was told that this is B3 waterfront development and single-family homes cannot be built on that. I'd have to stay on my own foundation. So I went from a 2,500 square foot home to a 950 square foot home. I've done everything I'm supposed to do. I've got my permits like I was supposed to. With the setbacks, they told me I had to be 22 foot back, and I didn't get that. Didn't get anything, but no big deal there. We were told that with the B3 waterfront development, you have to have, and if you're going to put a condo down there, they've changed the zoning to B3 waterfront development. And I guess that's the way it's been forever. But the thing of it is our biggest concern is the setbacks from the river. And what they talked about the river 2 years ago, now you did your boring in the summer, and the back boring, they spent over a day trying to find the right hole. And the thing of it is 2 years ago, the water went over the banks. And the fact of the matter is they've taken the 2 houses out, plus the neighbor before, raised theirs up a little bit and got out of the floodplain. I'm still in the floodplain. Over the time, they've got where they got the other ones out of the floodplain. So it went over the banks. It went over the banks 2 years ago, and it went over the banks next door to me too, because we had to wade in the water. 2 years ago, water was up. Now, it's 3 foot down, so your boring samples aren't going to read like they were before, because I've had water, all the way up all the time. So that's a concern, but my concern is if they build up anything, that we get a good flood, which in 1989, 1987, it went over the banks, and we were catching fish in my yard. And in 1997, it did it again. And then 2 years ago, it just went overnight for about 6 inches. And that's our main concern. I don't want a river coming through my yard. And we're in the floodplain. We're in a 100-year floodplain, that whole thing is. And the other thing is 10 years ago, with my neighbor and that, we were down here to get the rules changed that if our house burns down more than 60%, that we don't have the right to build our own, rebuild our own home without getting a variance. So, you know, there's a lot of things going on, and I just want, in the setbacks, right, they're all on the river, right on the river, and, you know, so I just want, I don't know what else I gotta say. What else I gotta say? That's about it. I have nothing against them, whatever. I like Frank and Monica. They're very nice, but I'm just telling you that the water goes over the banks there. And 2 years ago it went, and maybe 2 years from now, maybe 5 years. But I just want to let you know that, you know, I've been there since 1967. So that's our comment. You guys could do, I know what you're going to do, but I wanted to let you know that, you know, that I brought it up and it's in the minutes that if it goes over the banks and makes a river through my house, then everybody can say, well, maybe we should have thought about something, so.
We know you guys were, none of you here when we got turned down, but an ordinance is an ordinance, and, you know, we think it should be, I know you make variances, we didn't get one variance, not 6 by 7, you know, to even add on to our house, to make our house square. We didn't get a garage, we didn't get an overhang, we got nothing. And, you know, and I know Frank and Monica, they're not gonna build it to live in, they're building them to sell them, which, that's where we're at. South Haven's growing, it's changing, we understand.
Frank and Monica may own our house next year, who knows? But the thing of it is, I'll tell you one thing, that you guys had one good person that looked after me that's in a funeral home right now, Ben Johnson. He thought about everybody. He cared about everybody. And he's the guy that helped me so I could at least have a place to live down there.
Okay,
So,
thank you for your
Bless
comment.
him.
Your
Thank you.
time is over.
Thank you, guys.
Is there anyone else? We'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I move to close the public hearing.
Second. Motion made and seconded to close the public hearing. Any discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. The public hearing is closed. Janice, you had a question.
Yeah, I had a question for the owners, and maybe it was already answered by the Bards. I was wondering if the residences were to be sold or to be rented? Sold. Thank you.
I've got a quick question.
George? Yeah.
On pages 66 and 67, number 7 and 8 talks about buffering. And this is, they've got a fence on the one boundary with 8 Bailey, and it looks like they're planning on a vegetative buffer on the border with 15 Bailey. But I didn't see that reflected on the drawing. The fence is reflected on the drawing, but not the vegetative barrier with 15 Bailey. And I didn't see that as a potential condition. Would that be appropriate to add that as a condition, do you think, for that?
Yeah, it was discussed with the applicant. They are aware of that. But I am aware as well that it was not shown on that plan.
One more question, that maybe this is for Brad. So in the conditions in the staff report, it also includes the waivers that are being requested. Does that need to be included in the motion, or is that just there kind of more for information?
It was kind of a reiteration of what those waivers were. So as you were making a motion and applying any conditions that you are aware of, those are all of the deviations that they did request.
Okay.
Any more questions? Any more comments? Is anyone prepared to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the PUD for, or recommend
George-
approval
George,
of the PUD.
Yeah, let me interrupt you just a
Okay,
minute.
sure.
I intended to, and I didn't. This is a recommendation to city council, so we're not approving anything. We're just making a recommendation.
Thank you. Yep. So I'll make a motion to recommend approval of the 1 North Bailey Avenue PUD to the city council with the conditions in the staff report, 1 through 7, and an additional condition of buffering shall be installed on the boundary with 15 North Bailey, and also noting staff report number 8, which is all the waivers for this PUD.
Second?
Motion made and seconded to approve with conditions in the staff report plus the buffering. Further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. The plan is approved. The recommendation is made to city council.
If you want to approve it, you do that next time, George.
Meeting ahead
I'm
of
always trying to
yourself.
jump the gun.
You're a whole meeting ahead.
One meeting ahead of yourself.
At this point in our agenda, we have time for public comments on anything that you would like to talk to us about. Anything that's not on our agenda, or that we've already covered? Would anyone wish to come forward to the mic and talk to us? Okay. Seeing none, we'll go on to new business discussion. Reading the approval conditions allowed. I believe this was something that Chairman Stegman requested at our last meeting.
He did. Last month, the chairman asked for an agenda item to discuss whether or not the planning commission should read aloud each of the suggested approval conditions from the staff report when making a motion. And he intended that this would be a discussion item. I do have clarification from the city's attorney that there's no legal requirement to read these conditions individually rather than referring to them collectively. All that matters is that the record is clear as to what's being approved. So it would be a matter of board preference as to whether you all prefer to continue reading, referring to approval conditions collectively, or you prefer to read them individually, or a mix of both. But I will turn it over to you to discuss as the chairman intended.
I'd like to hear from Tim first. He must have had a, no,
Well,
wait a minute.
Well, I guess trying to understand Tim's motives, was this an inefficiency thing? In terms of we don't need to be redundant with what's in the packet already? Or,
I
and the
think-
trade-off there is the concern for transparency, of course.
I think what happened is, at that particular, there was a particular meeting in which I was going to read each of the items from the packet. And there were many. I thought it was important to read them all, and at that particular time. And then, you know, the feedback while reading was maybe I didn't need to do that, which was totally okay. I think I then made a small joke about my wife liking to hear my voice at the meeting. And then I think we have an individual who likes to send emails to the city was upset that I did that. And, you know, and that's, I think, why we're talking about this, because we've set somebody at home because, you know, I didn't read all of those items out loud.
Yeah, there's a balance, and I mean, I can see the argument for both sides, but it's hard enough as a member of the commission to make sure we read the packet and understand it, and at times to expect the citizens to have read that, so that when we say, and the conditions as noted on page X, I don't know, you know, I'm leaning towards the fact that a few extra moments on our times reading out those conditions improves our appearance of transparency at the least.
I'm going to move that there's some balance, because the one he was talking about was 16 conditions of, you know, it was a full page. So it's not just a few extra moments at that point. It's, you know, when our meetings are going till 10 or 10:30, that's a whole nother, how many things are on there? We're 16 conditions. We're adding a lot more time to something that's already in writing and will be reflected in the minutes and is out there for public ahead of time.
I think one of the items too that Tim had mentioned is when we come to those parts of the meeting, we could have them up on the screen for those that are here. Again, it would be reflected in the TV feed. On top of it's already been on the city website, available for public consumption prior to the meeting, as striking that balance.
I like that idea.
And that would go on the recording then, right? I mean, that whatever you're showing on the screen shows on the recording? Yeah. It's definitely saves us some time and accomplishes the goal of transparency.
The concern I would have with reading the conditions that are already printed is what happens if you misread something and you change a word, and now it's different than what's printed, and maybe that wasn't your intent, and I can see that potentially being an issue. So I think simple is better, and if we can keep it as simple as possible, I think that's the better way to go.
And that's why potentially we do have this technology. We have the ability to send stuff up if available, just like we don't have live feed tonight. We potentially might not have directions to the screen from a computer because of an update. I think that would be helpful. A potential middle ground to try. I'm not sure if we want to codify it, but definitely it could be something that we could do.
Do our bylaws allow the chairman that discretion?
Good question.
Again, I do think we're public servants. The concern over our time should not be driving this discussion. The concern should be, does the citizenry have a good understanding of what we're passing? And indeed, I hear you all saying, well, they get the packets as well, they can read it. And that's fine. But I can see certainly when there's 16 of them, that's one situation. But again, I don't know if it's at the chair's discretion whether we have to read them, or whether we can just say, you know, as the staff has listed on page X.
This isn't something addressed in the bylaws.
Okay, that was the question I had.
Nor you said there wasn't even a legal requirement.
There's not a legal requirement to read them aloud, as long as it's clear what's being approved.
And we're not reading the packets, and the packet is also available as well. I mean, there is the reason for the motion, and then the understanding that we've got the information permitted. And there wouldn't be anything wrong if an individual was doing their motion to read it as well.
Sure.
I'll suggest that since we are only a recommending body with the city council, that's an approving body, if they ought to be read, they ought to be read there. And I see your point, Mike. There's some value and some transparency by doing that on the screen, referring to the packet, referring to the city website. That's all good, but reading them does add another level for sure. But if it should be done, I would suggest it should be done by the city council.
We do sometimes approve things here without going to the city council, but, yeah.
I believe the city council makes motions in a similar fashion by referring to the staff report.
Yeah, yeah, we usually, I don't recall ever reading out the conditions at city council.
Did they get the same letter or an email, or was that just us?
I don't recall off the top of my head.
Okay.
We did get the same email.
I'm certainly not going to stand in the way of us approving this. If Tim thinks it's going to help us be a more effective body, I'm perfectly happy. I think Tim's given us great leadership, and I'm happy to go along with it. My only warning is, again, don't be surprised if citizens come back and say, hey, what's going on there, so.
And to George's point, if it's an item for which we are the approving authority, so to speak, then it's certainly more appropriate for those items to be read here. If it's a recommendation to city council, then I'd suggest city council is where that ought to be read.
I have a question for staff. Would it be difficult posting them when the recommendation is being voted on the screen, so that people can see them at home as well?
That's something that we can do, and quite often lately, the chairman, Segman, when he's here, has been asking for me to project them on the board.
Okay.
So that's definitely something we can do.
And I think what's up there can be transferred to the feed.
Yes.
Because it would be really important if it is. Okay.
And that's something that we can talk with IT staff about to try to catch their attention when those conditions go up.
It would help us too, instead of trying to fumble through to figure out where those are. What am I approving? How many are there?
Any other suggestions? Do we have enough information here to satisfy Mr. Stegman that we've thoroughly discussed it?
Probably not, but
Probably not a bad assessment.
Okay.
All kidding aside, I appreciate his efforts to be mindful of our time and our energy as well.
Okay. Staff comments?
Well, it's November already. The next meeting will be December, the end of the calendar year. And so I just want to encourage everybody to take a look at your schedules for 2024. We'll be looking ahead at approving a meeting schedule for 2024. And if we want to move any meeting dates around, just keep that in mind. Sometimes we do for July 4th or some other dates in the year. Thank you.
Brad, do you have any comments? Megan, thank you for standing in today. Commissioner comments. We'll start with you, Michael.
Yeah, thanks, Meg, for filling in. It's appreciated. Just to the massive audience here, I just remind them all that it is a week to vote. Make sure you get out there and express your vote. No voice before this commission is more important than the voice of the voter. Keep that in mind. You're the one that empower us, so make sure you make that choice. And then we can have a hot tub party. Not yet.
George?
Looking ahead to Monday's city council meeting, I see that there's on the agenda a new member potentially to the planning commission, and it's Mr. Eddie Polk, who I've known for many years, and I think he'll be a good addition. So he'll get my support at city council. That's it.
No comment.
Clark?
I guess just to again, thank staff. I know they did a lot of work, both on working with Trailside and working with Frank and Monica on their project. Those were two pretty complete projects, which were helpful. On top of the hot tub, which it's not every day you get to look at a site plan, which is actually putting a hot tub on a balcony. That was it.
Yeah, and it's not every day you get to look at the most complete site plan we've had, and it's about a hot tub on a balcony. So that was my comment today to Kelly. So good job. Thanks to Megan and Larry for pitch hitting tonight. Fun to see you. Like, you know, you should come back more often. And Mike stole mine about make sure you get out and vote. So that was my only comments.
A question to Mike, or maybe I should pose it to Mr. LaForest. Would that hot tub party be BYOB or not?
I don't know what their HOA, or their kind of association has.
No glass, no glass
We'll
bottles.
check, we'll
I know
check with the
rules.
authorities. Oh, good point, no glass.
It depends if you want to see more waivers, you know?
Great. That's going to get you an email.
I know.
I think we have degenerated. I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made to adjourn and seconded. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. We are adjourned.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.